Huawei and ZTE are definitely two of the biggest. I mean, they've got a huge market share there. They're starting to have more market share abroad, but China is really that's their sweet spot. That's their home market. That's where they have all the brand presence and recognition.
Yeah, and why is it that they're so successful in their domestic market? Home court advantage, over Samsung or Apple.
It is. I mean, in China in particular, it's hard cracking into the Chinese market. Just ask any tech company, not only on the handset side. So they can really tap into local tastes, the local distribution market, all of that. They just have the upper hand there.
Now they're planning to make, and they are making, a big push overseas, in particular in the U.S. market. But especially for Huawei and ZTE, there is the trust issue. So how are they dealing with that?
Well, in a few ways. I mean, yes, it's a big issue. It's not just perception. There was this congressional report that came out last fall and basically labeled these two companies as security risks. And that's been more on the telecom equipment side, because these companies, their bigger business actually is, for Huawei in particular, is selling telecommunications equipment, but also on the handset side. And again, there's this perception problem. So they're trying to launch a lot of phones that will appeal to the American public, and they're also trying to just raise awareness, advertising campaigns, outreach to the media, all of the above, and they're really trying to clear their name and kind of clear those, what they say are misconceptions.
So do you think they'll be able to succeed and do well in the U.S. in the end?
I don't know. I mean, a few years ago, if you had asked me, would Samsung be such a hit in the U.S., I would have probably said no. So, yes, there's a way to do it, but I think that they have a bigger uphill battle than Samsung did. As hard as it was for Samsung to get that kind of brand recognition in the U.S. and in other markets, Huawei and ZTE, they're complete unknowns for many Americans, many outside of China, really. And so I think that getting that to that household name is going to be a long haul.
Now, you've been playing around with the smartphones from these Chinese smartphone makers, in particular ones from Huawei. Tell me, what was the experience like?
So Huawei launched the Ascend P2. This is a 4.7-inch screen. It's an Android device, but they basically put a layer on top of it so that the user interface looks a little bit different than your average Samsung Android device. And they are touting it as the fastest smartphone on the market. Not sure if that's true, but
it's fast, but is it appealing to use?
It is. I mean, look, if you like Android, it's a similar look and feel. It's a 4.7-inch touchscreen, like I said. A lot of these phones have very similar look and feel, so it's hard differentiating, and that's not only their challenge, it's a challenge for every phone maker out there. How do you differentiate?
Yeah, and the challenge ahead for Chinese smartphone makers, can they innovate? Can they really be creative and just make their mark? Do they have it in them?
I think they do. I think they have to. I mean, this is no longer an economy where, a market where they can just get forward on manufacturing advantage, on a cost advantage. They have to innovate. Everybody's manufacturing in China.